be in a room full of mind mappers. It's an unusual occurrence for me, and I want to thank Biggerplate for that, and I think we all should. What I'm going to talk to you about today is how to solve your content marketing problems using what I call the instant content wheel. Now, that may sound kind of fanciful, but we all have problems with content marketing, and what I want to show you is a technique that you can take away and use right this very day to figure out how to create your content. And the important thing is, what I'd like you to do as you're watching is to figure out the content you would create for yourself, to promote your business, to promote yourself, whatever it is you're trying to create content around. This is an actual technique that you can use. And we're going to have some audience participation, which should be my favorite part and yours. What I brought, my latest book is Content Marketing Strategies for Dummies, and I also brought The Visual Marketing Revolution, which was the one before that. And they're both chock full of mind maps and have all kinds of ways for you to use mind maps to visually think and create content. And when you see the blue button there, it says it's your turn. I'm going to ask a question, and the person who answers, I guess the person who answers first, because of time limitations, will win the book and also come up after so that we don't spend time, passing out books. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about why I care about creating content. I started out at AOL as a marketing director in 1994, which dates me. And when I started, there were 1 million people and subscribers, and when I finished, there were 36 million. So during that time, I had the opportunity to have a front row seat for how people buy online. And, we made it up as we were going along because there really wasn't anything like it. And so what we wanted to do, my department owned the main screen pop-up. And I don't know if any of you have seen it, but we all know what pop-ups are. At that time, this was a new thing, the idea of a pop-up. So it was not always popular because what would happen is when you logged in, you'd instantly get a pop-up telling you something. And we loved it because what we could do is communicate in that pop-up. We knew every subscriber would see it. And we also knew that we could sell that main screen pop-up for $1 million. And we chose not to do that. I'm kind of proud of that. Because what we wanted to do was provide in that main screen pop-up information and anything that we could provide. In this case, it's now called content, to help people use the service and also have more fun online. So I'll tell you a little story about how this came about. My department decided that we were going to create training discs for AOL and help them use the service, help them see what it's all about, and actually get some really fun ways to use it. So what we started to do was we created AOL tutorials, and we also did tutorials on things like digital media, which of course was new at that time, taking photos, using financial software. I mean, you can imagine, it was the Wild West at that point. There really wasn't anything that was done. So one of the things we used the main screen pop-up for was to determine what our users wanted, because we really had no data. And so I was in a meeting with all the other directors, talking about these tutorials and things that we're going to create. And one of the directors said, I'm not sure this is a really good idea because our slogan is, so easy to use, no wonder it's #1. So the idea, obviously eating his own dog food, Rick thought that it's so easy to use, you don't need tutorials, you don't need help. It's so easy, you'll just start using it and know what to do. And so we had a little discussion about that, and we said, well, I was really keen on it, and so were several others, so we said, why don't we just try it and see what happens? And what happened over the years was each year you could see $40 million in incremental revenue. We sold those products. And you could see that obviously, had we not done it, we would have lost the money, but more importantly, you could see how interested our subscribers were in the content and how much they wanted it. And so I'm really glad that we did that, but the reason that it's always stuck with me, the idea that if you know your software or know whatever your service or product is, you think everyone knows it as well. And obviously they don't. And they don't want to sit and figure it out, they want you to tell them what it is. And so the onus is on you when you're creating content to figure out what's most important, what people want to know about, how you can make them more successful, and to provide that. So what is content? Content, can be all kinds of things. Most importantly, it helps you appreciate the value of the software or the product. It helps you understand how to use it and to see why the specific product is the one to buy. And, the obvious thing is with all of those, I put down some of the things you could create to do that. To appreciate the value, you could have case studies and PR mentions, testimonials. I mean, you can see all the rich content that you could create just to talk about your business or yourself. I mean, in some cases, you might just be promoting yourself for whatever reason. And so what I did was I took a picture of screenshots of two things. The first on the left, obviously, is Biggerplate's website, and that's an example, obviously, of people providing mind maps and showing how they problem solve with mind maps. And it's very rich, and we all know that there are thousands and thousands of maps there. But I also picked something because people always talk about, well, my business is too boring to create content. And so I have here the gardening guide to lawnmowers. And obviously you would think that that would be a topic that people would be interested in, but when you're trying to buy one, you're very interested in it. So Lowe's was smart enough to put something like that up there. If you were thinking about doing that, you'd say, wow, that's not going to be that interesting. But when you go and buy one, you realize you want to know everything there is about garden hoses. So I said lawnmowers and garden hoses. So with that in mind, let's look at what are the three biggest problems that content marketers have. And this is, different research studies have shown that people who want to create content, and this is all of us, I assume, number one, we don't know what to write about. That's an age-old problem. You're always staring at a blank screen. You don't know what to write about, and you're not sure if it will engage your audience. The second thing is you don't have enough time. You're actually running a business. You don't want to sit down and stop and start thinking about, gee, what would I like to write about? It's just, when you think about it, it's overwhelming. And the third problem is you can't create enough no matter how hard you try. People are just always clamoring for more. It's an unending problem. And so what I did was I created something why bother creating content? 78% of customers believe that companies who create custom content want to have a relationship with them. Well, obviously, that's one reason that you would definitely want to. The other reason is 75% of customers get angry when you show them content that's not relevant to them, and they leave. So two important reasons. One, because they're expecting you to and they want to see content from you. And the second is if you put up the wrong content, they go away. So very critical in choosing your content. Okay, so now it's your turn. Tell us, name one of the biggest problems that content marketers have and how it applies to your business.
Not enough time.
Okay, go.
Oh, you said one or all three?
Oh, no, you can stand up, tell us one, and tell us how it relates to your business.
Not enough time. So I'm a consultant, so I'm busy consulting, and whenever I'm writing content, it's on the train.
So that's not ideal, in other words.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, well, great. You pick up one of the books. Which one do you want? Content marketing?
The newest one, yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so pick that up afterwards. Okay, let's move on. And here is the instant content wheel in its totality. And this, I hope, will solve your problems instantly. And what I want to do now is show you the technique so that you can understand the big picture of it. And then later, we're going to think about yourself now, but later, we're going to do a workshop on how to create content for mind mapping and for mind mappers, and we'll go into it in depth. So I'm just going to skim the surface now, but I think you'll get the picture of what it is. So the first one is an avatar. And so what you start out by thinking is, who are my avatars? Who's my ideal customer? What do I know about them? Demographics, psychographics. It's very important for you to start out when you're creating content, rather than just dream something up and throw it against the wall and see if it sticks. You want to know who your customers are and what they might be interested in. You want to know their pain points. You want to know all about what they're interested in using the product for, a whole host of things. So I think rather than just starting out with producing content, you want to figure out who your customers are. Secondly, you want to look at the buyer's journey. Now, the buyer's journey is something that starts with the beginning, where they become aware of you, and where they learn about you. And I'm going to go closer here so I can see this. First, we start with the awareness, and they're asking themselves questions. They're just a visitor now to your website. They're asking themselves questions, and you have to answer these questions. So be mindful of it when you're creating your content. Who are you, and are you trustworthy? I can't look into your eyes, so I have to figure out in some way, is your business trustworthy? Is your product valuable? Who are you? Secondly, in the buyer's journey is consideration. They've gotten past the fact they think you're probably trustworthy, so they want to look at, what do you offer? They're going to do some research. These are the people you call your leads. And they're considering, gee, maybe I should do business with this person. What do you offer? So they're doing research at this point. So what you want to do is tell them what you offer in a way that tells them how they can be successful using your product. Because that's what they care about. How is the product going to make them feel? How is it going to make them more successful? How is it for them to use it and really get a lot of value? The third part of the buyer's journey is the decision, and that's where you make a sale. And so they say, I choose you, but you better not disappoint me, because you'll never get another sale, and I won't tell my friends about it. Satisfaction post-purchase. Are you taking care of me? The type of content you have to have there, are you taking care of me, obviously, would be your tips, hints, online training, all the things that show that you're still interested in them, even though they're already a customer. You're not forgetting about them. You're wanting them to increase the value of the product by using it even more. And finally, their ongoing use. Can you make them an advocate for you? The most important, the most valuable salesperson online is the person that uses the product and wants to tell their friends about it. So we call them the advocates, and ambassadors is another word for it. And they say, should I tell my network about you? So you want to make sure that you have content that answers all those questions. Next, we go to the categories. I'm going to move quickly. These are your categories. We're talking about the categories that you have on your website, probably your navigation bar has your categories in it, and then subcategories. So what you want to do here in terms of creating your content is start laying out the categories that you want to consider in the subcategories. And when you think about the categories, you want to make sure that you're focusing in on the things you learned about with having them as customers. What are the categories that they would care about? It's great if you care about them, but it's much more important that your customer cares about them. So if you want to tell customers about how great you are, that's good, but what you really want to do is how great you're going to make them. Okay, your turn. Name one of the steps in the buyer's journey and how it relates to yours. Categories. Okay, tell us what your categories are and how that relates to your business.
Systems, suites. We work in construction, so helping owners understand that their buildings are comprised of systems and suites, and how to unpack that so they can properly manage property.
Okay, great. So you want to lay out all the different options for them and show them, based on the categories, what they need to think about. Okay, terrific. So which book do you want?
The first one, the white one.
Okay, the visual marketing one? reminds you, what are the opportunities I have for creating content? Curation, quizzes, there are all kinds of things that you can do. And not only that, once you create one version, say you create it as a list post, you can also create it as an audio, you can also create it as a video. You have infographics you can then turn into an ebook. I mean, there's a million ways you could do it. But when you sit down and you have a blank page, you want to have something that prompts you. So that would be next in your journey through the instant content wheel. Okay, next, headlines. When you create your content, the next thing you want to do is figure out a really important headline to capture your audience's interest. And I wrote down one. There are a million different things online that you can have to prompt you for headlines. There are all sorts of proven ones. You can see greatest challenges. This is from Headliner. It's free. I just picked one. And put in content marketing, greatest challenges of content marketing, the ultimate content marketing checklist. And here are some more. Top 10 things you must consider about, 5 things you should know about. These all, you might think, oh, well, everybody does that. Well, everybody does that because everybody reads that. And as long as they're interested in the topic, top 10 things you must consider about whatever your topic is actually is important to those people who are interested in your topic. Okay, so how do you use the instant content wheel? Here's the list. You choose your avatar, as we talked about. You decide which part, this is you sitting down to create a batch of things. Choose your avatar, decide which part of the buyer's journey you're addressing. So that every time you sit down to create a batch of content, you say, who is the person I'm targeting this to? Who's my persona? And then which part of the buyer's journey you're addressing. So that means you're going to take them in one of those steps. They're pre-sales, they're already a sale, they're an advocate, are they a new person just coming? It's really important for you to look at that because you'll write something very different based on what part of the journey they're on. Next, you will pick one of your categories and keywords, select the type of content you want to create, then you'll write it, and in this case, because you want to create a whole batch, spend an hour and create a whole bunch of titles and map everything out. Choose your headlines, and then schedule it on your calendar. So let's have one, just to have a little example of it. Let's see, somebody spin the instant content wheel. Here it is, and I'll walk you through it. Who would like to try it?
I would.
Wonderful. Okay, so the first thing is, who are your avatars? Or name one.
Okay, so women business owners who are looking to actually have a productive, profitable, and purposeful business.
Okay, so women owners, entrepreneurs who want to have, tell me one pain point they have.
Oh, absolutely, that they are trying to run their business and they're really running themselves crazy. They have no systems and any structure to be successful and profitable.
Okay, that's great. So once you know that's the person you're looking at, somebody who's stretched for time, running all over the place. So next thing you want to pick is, where are they in the buyer's journey to pick your service?
They know they need help, they're just not sure who the right person is to help them and how they can, what the next steps are. So they need me to clarify that for them, that I'm the person, the solution, and how I can help them transform.
Okay, so tell us, where are they in the buyer's journey? Awareness, consideration, where do you consider that?
Consideration.
Consideration, okay. So those are your leads, and you're going to tell them why they should choose you.
Absolutely.
And so you're going to sit down and write something targeted towards that person who is then, you're then going to look at, why should you consider me? How am I going to make you better, more successful? What am I going to do to change your life? Okay, so then we move to categories. And pick a category.
I would say systems.
Okay, whatever you're saying, this is systems.
Right.
Creating systems, so it's a person who's an entrepreneur, they're considering your product, and now you want them to look specifically at your information about systems.
Right.
Okay, great, that's wonderful. And so now you have all of those types. What are you going to create?
Well, what I do is I actually have them for free go do an assessment, which does 2 things. It lets them helps me get information about them, but also helps them to sort of get a picture where they are and get clear how much they don't have a system and how out of control things are.
Okay, that's great. great is having your customer engage with in a conversation with you, even if they're not talking directly to you. What you're saying is, do you know this? Have you considered this? These are some of the things you want to consider. And they're getting into a dialogue with you. Oh, she's going to tell me this or that. I wonder if she can do this. You know, so it's really getting them involved with you. And then a headline. What would you call your assessment?
Are you running yourself crazy trying to have a business?
Okay, great. Great. And so now you know exactly what you need to write about, where they are in the buyer's journey, what the category is, what types. And of course, the assessment can be turned into a whole bunch of other things as well, e-books, slides, whatever. And you can choose different headlines. So, terrific. So, you win one of the butts. Which one would you like?
I want the content creation for them.
Okay, great. All right. Well, that concludes this part of it. What I wanted to do is just show you how you can create content. And in a later workshop, we're going to talk about how we can create mind mapping content to really engage mind mappers and to broaden our reach.